if you feel like you're gonna go Nami Lucian, you open with Lucian, because then you also have the flexibility of saying, all right, maybe we can even, you know, flex this towards the middle of the top side of the map. Opening out with Nami does technically mean Schalke could look to take it away. There are still pairings you can go with Lucian that are Nami at the end of the day, but Schalke will fear not too frustrated about that. They're just going to open out and respond with this Lulu, and we could just see the Zeri follow in kind, right? Just to get that immediate duo combination, but also I think securing a jungler early on or a top laner early on for either Elite Joint or Jaeger is also a very strong thing to look towards, given the conditions right now. So I like the Sejuani rotation, and they can always still go towards that Zeri, in mind knowing that Macko should almost always be locking in the Lucian in this rotation.
Macko just teasing us with that Ivan pickup, but as you mentioned, Sejuani, not traditionally a flex pick at the moment, much more likely to be seen in top lane than in jungle, but with Jaeger being a traditional top laner, it could be a champion that he is comfortable on. And there's the Lucian, as you mentioned, and it will be a Karthus locked in alongside. So bot lane jungle, very standard stuff seen from the PG Mats representatives. Whether it'll be matched by Schalke, it's going to be the Kog'Maw Lulu El Clasico.
All right, that's a big throwback, and definitely what this does mean is that Schalke guaranteed will have a very strong late game win condition to play through in that Kog'Maw, right? But Nami Lucian, very, very powerful in the early game. That level 3 onwards is really start to see that spike. I'm expecting now Macko are probably going to look to ban away some divers, I would expect. Something that can pair well or provide a lot of peel with the Sejuani, and then of course, you know, the Kog'Maw Lulu. So Wukong comes to mind, Xin Zhao also comes to mind as two picks that would really pair up well to provide strong front lines and team fighting tools that can be played around. That's the first one we'll be taking off the board. There's the Wukong and the Jarvan on the opposite side. That Karthus is actually a flex pick for Macko, so they don't want to have the potential of Karthus mid lane. Jarvan comes in to lock down the immobile Lulu Kog'Maw, so you can understand why Schalke are going towards that angle. After that, though, they can definitely look to remove away another one of Asidy's picks if they feel like. I'm not really sure what they would want to go towards them. Maybe something like the Ornn is an option for them if they really want to take away more engaged tools that can be very disruptive for these kind of team fights. Go towards the Renekton just to make sure that if this Sejuani is going in the top side, one-to-one, that matchup can't get bullied out so hard.
And yeah, you mentioned it there, looking at the Macko roster, saying, hey, that's bot jungle. We'll see. Hopefully it's bot jungle, but those champions can go in here. I'm praying most of all that Nami is actually the support. We're just waiting on that final ban to come through from Macko. It's going to be the VODS to take a little bit of comfort, expecting that Sejuani to be up in the top side. Are they going to hold the mid laner, or are they going to lock in? We'll have to wait and see.
All right, I mean, it looks like it's going to be Viego. Of course, all of those sort of AD junglers that can reset well off the Sejuani. If you look to at least make a gank happen towards the top side, there's a lot of strong CC and skirmishing potential. You almost kind of guarantee yourself a winning 2v2 on the top side. Obviously, Viego as well, a very, very strong team fighter. And are we going to get some kind of special from Asidy? Hovering the Olaf, of course, naturally you would imagine it's good into that Sejuani post 6, but also even before that, just so much sustained damage that Sejuani can't really burst through, Ignite or not. It's going to be the option there for Macko. So a little bit of spiciness being brought here through that one. Of course, the Karthus pick also there for that. Now it's about what exactly is going to happen for the mid lane here for Ho-Ho. You expect that the Karthus is probably still going in the jungle, but you know, with a team like Macko, you never know. They don't really show their hands until that B5, and heck, it just continues to get spicier, doesn't it?
Yeah, that doesn't show the hands.
It kind of does though. This should be Nocturne mid, Karthus jungle. You can technically, they are interchangeable, so if they feel like one matchup is worse than the other, they can definitely swap those around. But this should be the Nocturne in the mid lane. Somebody get Vedius on the line. I'm sure he's very interested to see how this one will play out. But it's more about, you know, complete darkness being pulled with the Paranoia, and then a Requiem being brought down on top of it, and it's just complete mayhem and chaos. Decay is going to take the Akali into it. Honestly, I kind of understand the pick here. Yes, it might not play into that whole team fight fantasy of setting up take set, but when you look over to the Macko side, there's not really too much peel, and there's a lot of basically free backline access for him to have. He just has to find the angle. So I quite like the fact that they've kind of pivoted towards that in the final part. It's a lot of disruption in the backline, whilst the rest of the team can play towards allowing take set to actually have space to make these team fights work.
Well, that's what I'm looking at this Macko lineup. You see the Nami ultimate, you think, cool, that's exactly one piece of disengage. And
beyond that, there's not really anything. So.
Yeah, there's nothing else going for it. So you choose that pickup and say, look, we've got champions that work well in team fights, but the Akali is going to have free range, you've got to imagine, because there's going to be no one to actually stop her doing her thing. And if the Akali pickup doesn't work, if it gets shut down in lane, Nocturne obviously has a pretty nice time being able to fear and catch Akali out guard even when she's in that smoke. We've still got a stronger team fight realistically, because Macko's tools seem a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, definitely so. You know, I think what you can say at the very least is that C-Boy should have pretty consistent priority lanes to work off of in terms of how he decides the path. So curious to see how they'll make that one work as we are into game number 1 of the day.
Macko on the blue side, Schalke no fear on the red. And Jamada, for yourself and everyone else listening at home, don't forget to claim your August/September League of Legends monthly capsule for all of the Prime shoppers out there. For your chance to get RP, Mythic Essence, skins, and more. So make sure to be checking in, making sure you haven't got one lying around. I always miss mine. So it's always worth just checking in to make sure you've actually claimed yours for this month. But we are on to the Rift, and I'm fascinated to see how these two teams are going to go up against each other. Of course, both yet to pick up a win in the group stages. Macko, happy to see them go for something a little bit strange in terms of how the composition is built. Why don't you go just like quickly talk us through, what does this comp want to do?
I mean, to me, it looks like it's kind of just lane dominance across the board, right? 1-to-1, Ho-Ho and the K in that lane. Ho-Ho is going to be able to always kind of pin the K down, have first move towards wherever C-Boy wants to. Viego on this Viego is going to have a much slower time at clearing. So honestly, with this Karthus pick, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Macko maybe get a little bit aggressive on an invade, perhaps. They can have priority down here on the bottom side, depending on how Raish and Click want to sort of manage this lane as well. They could look for a wave 3 crash at around sort of like 3 minutes or so, and then look to pair up with C-Boy as a trio and move into the bottom side jungle. And that's a very valid option for Macko to try and look towards, as Jaeger looks like he's going to go for a very standard red Interruptors, and then he will be on his bottom side. It's about how quickly C-Boy will be able to path his way down there. But actually, curiously, it looks like Rahesh and Click took a pretty poor trade, so
yeah,
actually not going to have so much priority early on.
Which is interesting considering the Kog'Maw Lulu, we always expect him to be this late game powerhouse. Lucian Nami expect to be doing a lot of very good aggression early, but it's Schalke who seem to have the priority down in the bot lane. Whether this will be good or bad for them in terms of ganks, as both junglers are on that bottom side, we'll have to wait and see, but starting off pretty strong.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that does get underestimated quite frequently is like Kog'Maw Lulu W start level 1. There's so much attack speed and range. I mean, kind of hard to trade into, and I guess Raresh and Click must have just been caught off guard. And now, with that in mind, they're going to have to sit on their hands for a little bit. Once they get level 3, that's when they can actually have the opportunity to trade more aggressively. But if they let the trades go on too long, of course, Kog'Maw and Lulu can start to out DPS even very early on into the lane.
And then on the top side, we've got Olaf Sejuani, 2 ex-junglers meeting in lane phase. Not player-wise, but just by champion. And Olaf, of course, likes to play very aggressively. Level 6 will be able to run through all of the CC that Sejuani provides. How's top lane matchup going to look for you? Is this all just about Olaf and Elite Joint trying to just survive through it?
I mean, I think it's more to me about Asadi trying to find whatever advantage he can in the 1v1. Once that level 6 comes in and he can Ragnarok through the permafrost stuns, that's really when you're going to see a lot of pressure layered in to Elite Joint on the top side. Or if this wave, you know, bounces back to Asadi and all of a sudden it's a very long way away from your tower and feel the Sejuani, then yeah, there's a little bit of threat of an all-in. All it really takes is an Undertone or Ghost to be popped. You can see here, Asadi kind of playing as if he's reset. If Elite Joint steps too far forward, it's always a threat of a chase down, but for now, just an Undertow to the face, and it looks like we will just have a little bit of neutrality.
Slow start to this one, but no complaints from me. Both teams have decent scaling options. Schalke maybe slightly more, but we're not going to get into the who wins late game conversations at 4 minutes in, because I don't think anyone needs to hear that. C-Boy just been full clearing out. Viego keeping track. Jaeger pretty much on parity, which is fairly good for the champion who, when you're up against the Karthus, it could always feel a little bit bad to be trailing behind him in terms of clear speed, but it looks like Jaeger's doing a pretty good job.
Jaeger doing a good job so far, but what you have to remember is C-Boy's full cleared all of his jungle. Jaeger skipped out on the Krugs on the first outing, and now we'll be able to potentially, actually, with C-Boy seeing this information up in the top side, get a couple of jungle camps of his own from the bottom side of the map. It just kind of depends on the bottom side lane state, which right now seems to be controlled by Takeset and Lilip. So I think his jungle camps are likely going to be safe, but Jaeger just doing a really good job of guarding his top laner, ensuring he doesn't get ganked, and giving him a safe back time. But there you go, there's C-Boy in the jungle.
He might be spotted out here though, as Jaeger will see those Raptors go down. Ho teleporting back into mid lane to give him a little bit of support, but Jaeger looking for the stun will be able to find it and will stop the blast from going off, but now goes over the wall alongside, and the flash from Decay to chase forward. It's all going down as C-Boy runs away. Members coming through. Ho is there. First one goes the way of Jaeger, but he'll be cut down by the Nightmare. Ho looking for a second now as Decay tries to escape, but here's Lilith with the speed up, with the shield, but we're not done yet as the top laners, Ace, Azadi, and Elite Joint just putting some damage into one another. Sejuani might be favored, but the undertow, he's got the damage, he's got the axes, he's just so low. One more, the shield. Lilith with the kill.
Lilip with a glitter lance off of the back of the E has allowed himself to win that fight up in the top side. Asadi had the damage, but he just had the undertow in a slightly incorrect position. He couldn't run far enough to pick it back up in time to make a chase down happen before Lilip could get involved. That means that Elite Joint will assist Lilip in picking up that kill. That's how it works. Top laners don't do anything in the game ever. Smile. But a really nice turn of events there for Schalke, picking up 2 kills on the back of this invade. See, really nice chase down here from Schalke onto C-Boy, who was just looking for jungle camps, right? I think the correct call for an invade, but just maybe not on this side of the map. Perhaps as Jacob does go down, the target focus is there, the passive as well, helping from C-Boy to take that one down. Then you can see on the top side of the fight how much damage is actually available to Elite Joint. That's quite a bit, but Asadi holds his W for a very long time. This is where the DPS can get a little bit scary from the Olaf as it gets very low. Again, the issue is the undertow went through Elite Joint, and Asadi couldn't really position in a way to actually get back to it in time to continue throwing it down very, very quickly. With that in mind, Elite Joint is able to help them get that kill. But out of the replay, we do see Macko pick up this dragon, so have that first one to their name. That's a pretty hefty trade, as you'd expect from an Army Lucian out of the box.
Diving back forward onto the minion wave, and will we try to get something going? C-Boy shows his face to make sure that Akali doesn't feel too secure going in. But as you mentioned, that dragon going down, Hextech will be our second, so your book selling days might not be done just yet, as Cloud is always an option for the Soul Point. It's good to see a little bit of action starting off in this game. No bot lane. 3 out of 4 members of bot lane not particularly involved. Of course, Lilith with that solo kill. Another day's work for the Lulu. I'm just kidding, of course. Sejuani heavily invested, but couldn't find that killing below. As things have petered out just a little bit, we've got the Rift Herald up in 20 seconds, so I imagine there might be some movement, even if it's just from junglers, to secure that area. Jaeger up towards the top side, gonna make his presence felt.
He will try to, yeah, again, just ensure that the joint doesn't get run down in the top side. Of course, when you're shoving in the lane like this against an Olaf, it's very easy to potentially get run down, but with no Ghost available, definitely the prospect's a little bit less threatening, but Jaeger still doing a great job of covering his top laner.
Okay, talk to me about Karthus for a minute.
Sure.
What's the aim of the Karthus in the jungle? Because I know we talk about C-Boy being very good at, well, Karthus being very good at clearing, obviously C-Boy as well. Very, very adept at making sure that everything is being taken at a pretty good cooldown. The overstep on the top side was a small example of when that doesn't happen. Is Karthus looking to get onto the map now that he's level 7 towards 8 and 9, or is he still just going to be farming through, getting Requiem, trying to put some damage down, maybe sneak a kill or 2?
Yeah, at least to me, Karthus is always about just, you know, CS per minute, right? Getting as much damage as possible into your inventory, right? They've got a lot of gold to work with right now. C-Boy up 200, and you can see he's got a sizable CS lead, takes away the blue buff, doesn't look like that's going to be punished. But yeah, now that he's got that level 6, it's about assisting any skirmishes, right? It's more on Matchco as a whole, not just C-Boy, to actually proactively look for a play to make, whether it's on a side lane, whether it's directly through the mid lane, it doesn't really matter, so that, you know, C-Boy can effectively just press his R key, get involved.
As the popular Ragnarok to lower his defenses might be a problem, ghosting away as he sees Jaeger running through. That's okay for the Viego. He's got Rift Herald, he's stuck it away when we were discussing C-Boy, his counterpart on the other team. Did he just look to drop Rift Herald here? Do you really want to give Sejuani that kind of gold?
I mean, sure, you might be giving Sejuani that kind of gold, but it's also a full tower to take for yourself. Jaeger on the Viego is still very much going to be a strong proponent to use that gold if they had dropped it, but they don't actually go towards that one. They just do get a lot of pressure up on the top side, deny a bit of a wave away from SD. So still really strong jungling from Jaeger. He's just individually falling behind one-to-one with C-Boy on the CS department, but with all those plays, he's actually caught back up in gold. It's just the XP where he suffered.
We've still got a few minutes for more plates to be taken, so no pressure on Jaeger to drop it in the first lane that he finds. Just looking across the map to see where leads are gained. It is Schalke Neufehr with the 1,000 gold advantage at the moment. And I mean, it's mostly in support, but it's just that kill paying dividends, really.
Yep. For now, I'd like to see Schalke kind of keep the game at this pace, right? I think they're actually kind of okay with this right now with a Kog'Maw Lulu. And I think the fact, of course, that they've got such a strong team fighting composition post that sort of like 20-ish, 25-minute mark, I think means that they're all right with this. I mean, they're up 1,000 gold. I think Macko have actually sat on their hands a lot more than I feel like they were likely going to. It's more about what we actually get to see out of Warhol on this pick. I think he's one of the few engage options really that Macko have, and I want to see them actually get proactive relatively soon so they can start to leverage some of the strength of the early skirmishing power that these champions have.
And see how he builds as well, because when you're talking about one of the primary forms of engage on your team being paranoia, as Lip eats a culling, but Jaeger moving forward, flashing and forcing it out of Ravish, needs to move back though, C-Boy en route. But it looks like there's not much more to be discussed. C-Boy hasn't been spotted, I don't believe, but he will be as he walks out of the bush and throws down the gate. So Macko just defend themselves a little bit. But yeah, when you talk about paranoia as one of your primary engage tools, that to me seems bad.
Yeah, definitely does. But again, it's more about the skirmishing, right? If you can get in, it's good. Oh, Ragnarok pop. It's like SD wanted to try and make a turn there, but he didn't have an undertow. So, yeah, bit strange. But that's an ultimate down, and Macko on the bottom side are on the dragon. Jaeger definitely saw that going down.
Oh, Paranoia has been used, but it's already a kill going over to Jaeger. He's going to get the reset, but he's only an army, so he'll be run down. Nocturne grabs the return kill. It has given Schalke a little bit of time to move in on to the dragon, though, but they're going to allow it to reset as it was just Decay, and he wasn't interested in trying to solo that one down.
Yeah, I think the threat of Decay moving down there off the back of that play as well just means that they have to disengage away from the dragon. Jaeger inadvertently actually stops that dragon takedown, which should potentially be a pretty big deal, right? If you were staring down two dragons 11 minutes into a game with, you know, a composition which is realistically going to be ready and okay to fight at 1 IM, right? Divine Sundra, really scary. Decay on the Sakali with that Pro Belt, on the Rocket Belt rather, very strong. And also, Kog'Maw takes it going towards Blazer and King. Very strong 1 IM spikes across the board. As you can see here, Jaeger saw that dragon was going on almost certainly, and just decides to send it towards the bottom side, and Ho actually responds, and there you go. Threat of Decay taking down C-Boy means that flash has to come out. Dragon is stopped. Honestly, with that a win, and now the Herald gets dropped here, but that should just about be taken down. As the aggro will be dropped, and there you go. No charge. Unfortunately, Jaeger wasn't able to get that down anywhere efficiently. Could have dropped it earlier on. Don't forget, I think. So, kind of irritating for the Schalke side to not get that one in, but good denial there from Macko. And now, flip response is actually going to be this dragon because they saw C-Boy respond to stop that charge.
And that's the question, isn't it? You don't get any gold. You could have used it on the very first play you made top side to charge through for the plates, but it does buy you some space and buy you some time to grab yourselves the first dragon of your team. Of course, if already secured by Macko, but Schalke will take the Hex Tech. Put your book away, Jamada, is Ocean.
But this is actually the worst soul in the game.
I don't know. I don't like Cloud. I don't think Cloud Soul's very good.
I'm tired of Clown Soul slump. All right, it's a good soul.
Do you know,
they're just not ready to hear it. You know?
Yeah, I'm not ready to hear it. We're not seeing it in the game, so it's irrelevant, Jamada.
It's like pineapple on pizza, except I actually don't like that. That's actually what it'd be fun to say. But
no, we're not just letting you breeze past that. That's like being in the middle of a team fight, being like, I like the color yellow.
Yeah.
Like, it's irrelevant. No one cares. What are you on about?
Thank you.
Shaking my head, honestly. Oh, could be in a little bit of trouble. Decay's caught him out, but he will be able to fear the Akali away, caught in the smoke, and she turns around. Jaeger up on the red buff. But this game hasn't been, we talked about it a little bit earlier, Macko haven't been as proactive as we maybe expected. And yeah, they've got Seaboy on the Carthus, which wants to be a farming champ, but I don't know if I'm sitting there as a PG Nats fan looking at Olaf, Nocturne, Lucian going into later stages with huge amounts of confidence.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair point, right? Of course, I think it's very important to note that Macko have very strong one-item spike champions, right? Nocturne,
Yes.
Lucian, you know, Nami with the combination of the bottom lane in general. Very strong. Carthus obviously gives them a little bit more of a hyper-scaling aspect, I suppose. But realistically, I think they'd be outscaling Kog'Maw Lulu. Actually not. A lot of damage, but I think they were looking to reset anyway. Items look really, really close to completion there for Lilip and takes it. So I think, you know, give Macko the benefit of doubt. Once they do pick up these first core item completions across the board, they don't start to look to get aggressive immediately. They're not going to start to have a couple of concerns if they don't start picking up some fights that go their way. Herald has left Jaeger in a very exposed position.
Yeah, he's going to Audacity though. Elite Joint comes over the wall to assist him. It will be a 2v2 as Seaboy's here, but there's the Paranoid jumping immediately onto the jungler. He'll be able to scramble away as Elite Joint has the point blank in the face to keep him alive. Takes in a Lilip, have come through from the reset though. So everyone apart from Lucian is currently in the neighborhood. It looks like Schalke have the numbers advantage. They try and take this one up, sending forward, looking to keep members of Macko at bay, and they will be able to secure themselves the Rift Herald. Don't lose any members either. Good steal there from the Prime League side.
Yeah, really nice. It looked pretty dicey at the very start. Jaeger in the back of the pit gets a little bit of assistance there from Elite Joint, and eventually they just end up winning out on the fight. Again, that's just kind of the power and tools that Schalke have available to them. The K even could have taken down, let's say it was Hoho on the backside, but I think that flash saved him from the shuriken flip. But the follow-up almost certainly would have been there. Really, really clean stuff from Schalke, despite how that one started out. Macko, again, just not really able to find any key targets.
The Schalke game has been slow and controlled, and we spoke earlier about how they were pretty happy with the rate of the game because they've got Kog'Maw, they've got Akali, they've got champions that go very well late. The Viego as well, of course. Early skirmishing is fine, but late game resetting in team fights is bellissimo, I believe is the technical term, if you'll pardon my dense academic jargon. But they've just kept this game very stable, very steady. They've gained themselves about a 1,000 gold lead coming up to the 18-minute mark. Evened out on Dragons, so there's no threat of an early Soul or Elder for either side particularly. Picked up both of the Rift Heralds as well to deny any kind of opportunity. And while they haven't necessarily used it too effectively themselves, just neutralizing the objectives is almost good enough for them.
Definitely, I mean, I'd even say in the second Herald, they opened up the mid lane, so not even that bad for them, really. So Schalke, again, happy with the pace of the game. They don't have to speed things up. Very happy to just sit here and wait. I think if they really wanted to get aggressive, sure, use the K, use Elite Joints, Permafrost stacks with Jaeger as a trio. Just allow Takeset to farm up some more resources. Again, I continue to ask the questions of Macko we are coming into today. You know, they had some pretty peculiar drafts on day one. Day two, a little more standard. This time around, bit of a mixture of both. Some standard play from the Nami Lucian from the bottom side, but Hoho hasn't really been able to get anything going with this Nocturne mid. Feels like Seaboy hasn't really been able to flex his muscles with, you know, what feels like the individual XP lead he's had all game long. It's actually been closed out almost by Jaeger now. You can see the purple bars next to the champion icons, and now Macko, they're in the river first for this Dragon Decay, looking to cause a little bit of issue, but you'll always be alright. There's a flip. I can imagine if this Dragon got taken early by Macko, this could be a point. Spot Ragnarok.
Yeah. It's not going to matter. He's going to be taken out. Takes it with the damage. Elite Joint with the CC. Easy pickup for Schalke. Dragon wasn't even started on that play as well because Jaeger and Lilith were doing an effective job at keeping members of Macko at bay. Moving towards Seaboy, a little bit of damage. But he's got so much support. Click and Ravish are both there. They're looking to get the kill onto Jaeger over the wall, but he will be able to dive away. Dragon is started up, perhaps accidentally by the Prime League side, as here comes the Requiem Wild Growth. Might not be enough.
Oh my
as
God.
Jaeger goes down. That's a lot of damage from Seaboy as Schalke half health bars across the board. Need to be careful. Macko with the health advantage could go back towards the Dragon, but that Requiem hit hard enough, thought it would.
You know, we saw Carthus come out yesterday from Koro, and, you know, we never really saw a massive Carthus ultimate come down. So in my head, I saw that that one dropping. I was like, yeah, Jaeger's probably all right. And then the entire team just gets half health. Absolutely absurd. But you can see he is very strong, right? Leandri's Sword Pen Boots. There's not really too much magic resist across the board, especially for the bottom half of the map. Hex Drinker hadn't been procced yet, or had been procced already, rather, by Jaeger, so not able to survive that one. So much damage, and off the back of it, they pick themselves up the dragon. Really massive pickup. They can get themselves towards that salt a little bit sooner. Get a replay as Jaeger, yeah, just a little bit too over-eager, right? No one on his team is there to kind of capitalize on that Spectral more. Gets chased out, dragon, so slows him down a little bit. Yeah, Requiem just hits like a truck. Look at half health on takes it. My god. Yeah, when you get that much damage thrown at your face, you kind of just have to give it up as come out of the replay. There you go.
Onto the rift. I'm a bit confused for a second, but items have been picked up a little bit more. We talked about the one item spike, but how is the 2 item spike going to look from some of these members of Macko?
Yeah, I mean, for Macko, now, you know, a little more pick potential via that rapid fire cannon, right? Gives you the extra range to maybe get a couple of those autos in with the mandate, with the Nami for the slow. It's not, you know, inherently going to change how crazy the champion is in terms of its damage spike. It's just going to give it a little more flexibility in how easy it can actually find access to the targets. Across the board, the second item spikes. See what actually ends up being picked up, right? Because it looks like Ho-Ho, he's got a tier and he's also got a Hex Drink. So more of Malmortius here, a lot of magic damage, so it's going to make him a lot tankier and a lot more frustrating to deal with. It's mostly, to me, about, you know, third item for Aresh, picking up that Infinity Edge, maybe a Lord Doms if he feels like the front line is that tanky, but I feel like it's really not. And then C-Boy making his way towards what I could only suspect is the Shadow Flame, and then, of course...
All right, let's see how much
you imagine. Damage check. Half health on
look
Lilith, not bad.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
That's tough. I wonder how much gold First Strike actually farmed off that. I took my eyes off Karthus, because at that point it's basically just the First Strike proc. He's got 1.7k in his bank right now, so he's encroaching on having a Shadow Flame. I think
there it
has
is.
200 more gold. Oh no, he picked it up. There you go. I'm bad at that. So he has a
he has
Futures Market.
Yeah, it was the Futures Market. You're like,
all right,
you
never
said
mind.
like,
I'm not bad at gold.
He needs 200 gold as it went to minus 270, and I was like, nice. But
yeah.
For C-Boy, he's got that 2 item spike now. He's already hitting like a truck, and Macko seems to have the slight tempo advantage at the moment. For Schalke, is this a worry, or is this them saying, look, we know that they were going to be powerful at this stage of the game. We're just going to sit back, not give them any more opportunities to play out their win conditions and just wait for Cogmore to hit 2-3 items, and then we go again?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record here, but
okay.
I think Schalke are just okay playing at this pace, right? They always, yes, have to be worried about the Karthus damage with the dive, you know, potential of both Asli and Ho-Ho being able to kind of avoid all of the frontliners, effectively just walk through them or dash through them. But I think as long as they can actually find, you know, the rest of the fight with Jaeger and Decay diving through onto Aresh, onto Click, I think they can win the extended trades. I think that a champion like Viego are very happy to pick up any of these forms here, with the exception of maybe the Nami, and that's definitely a pretty big thing to be able to lean on. Again, yes, of course, the natural scaling and threat of a Cogmore Lulu is going to be very, very scary. But I think, honestly, for Schalke, the longer that this game goes on like this, it's going to be more about whether or not they get a Baron attempt, if anything, to use the champion to shred it more than a team fight, and then maybe look to use the buff after the fact. But I'm kind of scared if they go to start the Baron, you know, MR gets shredded by that buff, and all of a sudden C-Boy hits you for like more than double the damage he already was. Not sure how much of a valid answer it is to go to try and start up that Baron. Scoreboard's come down, so I got a little bit worried, you know, like...
Yeah, I was disturbed. I was like, what's about to happen? What do the observers know that we don't? Because I'm looking at this and, okay. Schalke have started up that Baron buff, but it's only 3 members, so they might not have any information about this. I don't know, because they haven't got any vision. It's been cleared out. Okay. And Schalke very quickly decide to move away from it. Very smart, but That was the right kind of idea, sending members to the side lanes. We've got a teleport coming through. It is Elite Joint on the Sejuani who's going to be running on forward. Can they find a pick, though, with the Arctic Assault into the ultimate onto C-Boy's face? He's the one you want to take down, but he stays alive with a lot of health. And it's actually going to be Elite Joint who has to get the one to stay alive. Double teleport coming on through. Here's the Paranoia. They managed to take down the Sejuani. Can they grab more? Requiem comes on through, but it doesn't take anyone down just yet. Weapons are burning. Jaeger is low. Takes it, needs to be careful. Flashed away from the bubble, but he's followed up by Ravage.
Decay!
It's a double from Decay as he looks to take his team back into the fray. Grabs the Shogun. Will he follow? No, he won't. Lilith low. Ravage with one more. Cannot find the kill as the Cogmore goes fishing. He's spinning onto Ho-Ho. Can he get the damage? No, he can't. The ultimate goes wide as Nocturne escapes. Schalke, it looked worrying in the first half. Brought it back a little bit. Decay with the save.
Decay so powerful in this team fight. So many easy targets for him to assassinate. There's not really that much magic resist outside of Ho-Ho having that more of Malmultius right now. So really strong turnaround from the Schalke mid laners. We get a look at the initial engage. It definitely looks a little bit forced at first. They're not able to burst down C-Boy. They don't get him in any kind of chain CC. And in fact, I actually thought there's going to be Elite Joint going down in the chain CC, but the Arctic Assault comes back around, manages to escape, and then when the Requiem comes down, I think, yeah, this fight has to be done. Jaeger's more shield saves him there on the retreat, but take a look at the cave, because that's where all the damage comes from. It's just an instant deletion of two members, the front line of Macko, and to escape from a flash. The well-timed Shuriken flip. A really great fight from both sides. Cave, of course, goes down to the back end of that damage. Dusk from the two, very close to bringing him below.
Dragon was picked up by Schalke, as you've just seen, as we hop back to live. So it's two Dragons piece, meaning the soul is unlikely to be that much of an aspect. That being said, Schalke wouldn't be too upset if this game went another 15 minutes, so they'll be keeping their eyes peeled. For Macko, a little bit less satisfied, but as we saw in that last engagement, can definitely still take fights and are definitely looking strong, especially C-Boy on the Carthus. And the fact that that Nami tidal wave was all the disengage that they actually needed is promising for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to take into context how that fight was taken, though, right? It was right in a choke, right in the middle of basically no escape from that tidal wave. So that disengage kind of, it's just the strongest like use case for a tidal wave, realistically. So I think if we see fights taken in a slightly more open setting, then perhaps there's a little less value in it, but still Click doing a really good job of making sure that Schalke don't just, you know, by default get the best case scenario engages for themselves. Staves them off well enough. And now I think when you start to look towards some of the items that are coming in now, Void Staff pickup for the Kate. That is huge when you see the double more on the solo laners, no magic resist on the rest of the squishy members. He is going to instantly and surgically remove anybody he gets on top of from Macko.
And it was what he did last fight, even though it wasn't going in his team's favor. And now that he's going to be able to burn through the squishies, especially, I'm looking at Nami and I'm just seeing Sushi at the moment, because Akali is going to make absolute fillets.
One of Akali's dances. She's eating rum.
It's
right?
it's her recall, I think.
Is it a recall? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's her recall with the base skin, is that she's eaten some ramen. C-Boy might be caught out here by Jaeger, but there's the Paranoia, and he's pretty scared as he moves back. Requiem, keep an eye on those damage numbers as he rips through squishy members. The Cogmore solo takes it, goes down. Jaeger moving forward, looking towards he dies down though, as the K jumping through, looking for another, finds a Resh execution, but has no way out, has to go golden. Is there going to be any kind of escape? No, there won't. It's a shutdown for C-Boy as Macko take 2.
Yeah, now what will Macko actually get off the back of this team fight is the big deal. They're able to shut down Decay in this team fight. Are they going to look towards the Baron? The answer seems like yes. There's no smite on the side of Schalke, but there's also no smite for C-Boy. I just feel like there's no real Baron still threat here on the side of Schalke, so this should be going down to the Italian side. Really strong team fight coming up from them, and this is what we've been wanting to see for the last 10, almost 15 minutes really. You know, Ho-Ho diving forward, Requiem over the top. Let's see what we can actually get done. Looks like Schalke aren't going to let this one go over too easily.
It's only Elite Joint and Lilith though. It's only Sejuani and Lulu, and they're trying to do their best to keep members low. Baron's still helping, but Elite Joint goes down. C-Boy is low. Teleport coming through from Macko though. They want support as Lilith is doing his best to keep Azadi away. The Baron is secured. It's on to 4 members of the Macko side. Might actually have been 5, but a teleport coming off through from Akali. What can Decay do? He's not caught out by the bubble. Click in trouble, gonna go low. Will be taken down as Decay dives forward. One more will be enough. Resh goes low. They finally catch Lulu, but Decay catches another. It's 2 for the Akali in the fight. A dirty double from Decay. So Schalke remove a couple.
He is
more
on
of
a
those
tear, man. He really is. He's trying so hard. Teleport comes in. He isn't quite able to assassinate Click from the get-go without using the R2. So unfortunately, he kind of has to expend it in a bit of an awkward manner. Still picks up that day double, like you say. Macko, they're able to escape with Baron buff on multiple members, though. I think, you know, a bit of a heist there, given how that one played out. Elite joint and look, some absolute heroics to try and stop that one from going down, but go down it does. We'll get a replay and look at how this all unfolds, because you can see the focus is on T-Boy. If they can take him down, all of a sudden it becomes a flip. They don't actually know there's no smite. Bubble is good, locks him in place for those lay wastes. 2 lay wastes to the board. Actually goes for the chase down on Lilip. Lilip actually sells this really well, buys a lot of time, flashes over the wall, brings all of Macko with him. That bubble just slightly mistimed from Click, and you can see how much damage he's able to do. If he's able to get the empowered ore attack off onto Click, maybe he can immediately focus Raresh and then actually look to try and pick up multiple members away from just the bottom lane. But fortunately, the damage wasn't quite there to assassinate the fish. It's that his spells used not as efficiently as he would have liked. Now let's see how efficiently Macko can use this Baron.
Yeah, on 3 members, we saw in the picture-in-picture that some ultimates were blown in a little exchange as Raresh and Tubble gets stunned up, taken out. Jaeger with the kill can now reset, becomes Delusion, looking towards T-Boy, who's caught up in the ultimate, shut down a second for the Viego, as now you can see on the side, it is Akali looking towards Violef, has to go golden. There are too many members of Macko in support as Jaeger also goes low, but K not done yet, jumps into the shadows, but decides against the re-engage. But if Macko walk through that choke, they could be in trouble. Dragon on the Rift could set up for soul point for either team. The Schalke firmly in control of this area. Acidi half health, but he's helping the members of Schalke right now. But it looks like it's the Prime League side that are going to start up the Dragon.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure what Raresh was looking for there. It looked like he just kind of dashed forward, just tries to find some kind of burst damage with Culling, and unfortunately just gets locked down, not expecting Jaeger to come out, and now, well, this is happening, I guess.
Elite Joint is looking to escape, but Ho-Ho has quite a lot of damage. Sejuani, tricky customer to take down, especially on the tower, so Ho-Ho needs to be careful as the Arctic Assault away, and Sejuani survives.
Nice. Good job, Sejuani. Ocean Soul regen as well. She was quite low. Yeah, so let's get a look at this, because I think he's just not expecting Jaeger to come out with the Hallowed Mist like that and kind of just one-shot him. And then after that, Fire is kind of sure he's going to be dead. Permafrost comes down on the Seaboy, he's easy pickings. K comes down from the flank as well. He has to go golden to avoid that Requiem, otherwise he could have maybe used his R2 to look for an assassination attempt onto Ashley. Of course, remember, perfect execution is just that, it's an execute. There's more damage the lower you are. Wasn't able to quite find it there.
And this is where we're starting to see a couple of the deficiencies in the Macko composition start to rear their ugly heads, as Acidi gonna get spat on. Not a particularly pleasant experience as Take-Set puts some damage down. And for Schalke, it's dull. It's a bit boring to say because we say it all game, but they can just let the game continue on as it is and they'll be feeling pretty good. The gold lead is not huge, it's only about 400, but firmly in control, know that scaling is on their side, know that time is on their side. And for Macko, yeah, they've got a scary Karthus, but we saw in that last fight, one stray Sejuani ult could be all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it really takes, right? I mean, they're only really scared of maybe some really strong Karthus damage, and Raresh rather, hasn't really had the kind of access to the squishier targets that he would probably have wanted throughout a lot of the mid-game. So, like you say, Schalke are happy with how the play sequences are actually coming to a front. I mean, honestly, K, I think it could be said enough, to be honest with you, has been on such a mission in these team fights. And he is such a massive threat that Macko don't really have many tools to shut down, I think, crucially, right? No point-and-click CCs. They have the tether, right, from Nocturne. Yes. That's pretty important, but if Ho-Ho's job is to dive onto Take-Set or Lilip, he's not going to be around to stop the K every single time. All of a sudden, his mission statement changes. He has to play more of a defensive role, which is not necessarily what you want to do as the Karthus. Karthus on the screen. As Nocturne. There you go. Got there in the end. Long list of changes,
yeah.
guys.
I mean, you don't want to be playing particularly defensive on Kog'Maw or Karthus either, so you're not wrong. But it's just weird that you decided to bring it up, I guess, would be the point there. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Nocturne not feeling super happy to be diving forward, has gone for a slightly beefier build with the Strike Breaker, more Mortis, and Guardian Angel, just to stay alive as he dives on forward, because he is a bit culpable to being mown down by Kog'Maw. if he engages a little bit too far. And Takesset's got a lot of champions that do enjoy supporting him. Sejuani happy to sit back and peel away. Obviously, that's Lulu's whole thing. So it's a bit of a different conversation when you look at Schalke's composition. For Macko, C-Boy picking up that Rabadon's death cap. That could be important.
It could be, to say the least.
Oh, Paranoid coming through. Look at the Requiem. There's going to be a decent amount of damage going through. Lilith blows up. The Lulu from half health. Elite Joint misses the ultimate and will go down as well. You've got to imagine cut down in his prime. But Jaeger's on the backside looking for C-Boy. Has to dive away. Decay is here. What can he get done? A damage coming through. Looking for Click. Will find him. That's one. Is there a second? Horhor's the focus as he dives in and out. It's the double actually. Picking up onto C-Boy as Nocturne floats back. But it is a positive fight for Macko. They lose 2, but they pick up 3.
Yeah, I mean, they do pick up 3. They up trading kills, but take a look at the top of the screen, top left. Dragon spawns in 60 seconds time. I think Schalke is still going to be okay getting back out onto the map there. And Decay yet again comes in to rescue Schalke from a potential disaster. Lilith gets one shot. There is not really too much he can do. He's getting blown up by the culling. I think he died to at 1k HP. I'm not sure if we'll have time for a replay or not, to be honest with you, with the Dragon spawning up and the Baron being available. But man, that was a meaty engage from Macko. And again, you know, this is what we wanted to be seeing for a majority of this game. It's just taken a little while to get to this point. And you can kind of briefly see it. Replay comes in a little bit quickly. Yeah, Lilliput just died at 1k. The Guardian Angel gets procced by Jaeger. And Decay comes in to try and clean up the fight. Remembers that tidal wave delays the inevitable. Pick goes down. As speaking of Decay,
maybe in trouble. Damage coming through and takes it. Teleport there as well, even through the Ragnarok. It's the shutdown for Decay. Baron going to be started up, you've got to imagine, by Schalke, but actually they're going to move towards Dragon. They want to pick up the Soul.
Soul, I mean, I kind of understand it, right? Starting up the Baron again. Oh my goodness me.
Decay dodging away. Rarash doesn't get hit by the ultimate from Sejuani, and that's a big tool for Elite Joint to have burned. Requiem comes on through. That shield does nothing, Lulu, as everyone taken pretty much to the into half health or below. Dragon will be started up though. Takes it, is going to melt through it, and this one should be a pretty easy secure. It will be taken by Jaeger and Schalke. That is Ocean Soul, and that regen is going to be very, very useful.
Yes, I was about to say the exact same thing. You took the words from my mouth. I don't think I'll ever see a higher value Ocean Soul, depending on whether or not C-Boy wants to cast his aura of cooldown or not. My goodness me, so much damage now. Oh my god.
Jaeger.
I'm gonna get caught by this. It's as though
Macko a little bit quick to pull the trigger on that one, but Jaeger's still teasing them, messing with them for a moment, as the rest of his team needs to be careful. Decay's not here, so if a fight kicks off now, Schalke will be fighting with one arm timed behind their back, but it looks like Conqueror, he's going to use his mouth rather than his hands. He's trying to get the damage down, takes down Horror with Elite Joint's assistance. Schalke make the pick. It's a big one onto the mid laner. Baron on the menu.
Yeah, and he's down for almost a minute as well. I think Baron, definitely a very worthy start. There's no Requiem available for another maybe 20-25 seconds or so from C-Boy. To see how Macko want to approach this. Decay is the one that they really have to be careful of, but I mean, you can just tell posturing says they don't want anything to do with this Baron. That's going to be Schalke. No fear taking this one up. Let's see what they can get done with it now. Baron buff. First one was eaten away by Macko. Really valiant attempt to stop Schalke, or stop Macko rather, by Schalke. Now is their buff to use. Items already. Take set, Decay, they're not going to get much stronger. Again, Macko really have to do something about this Kali diving in. Be a little more in unison. It feels like we've never really seen Astley and Horhor diving in on the same target at the same time whilst that Requiem's been coming down. That little bit of difference in team cohesion has really meant. Now, Schalke, they're the ones with the Soul, they're the ones with the Baron. They can look to really start to crack open the base here.
Takes it, just going to be mowing through these minion waves. Decay on the side. 9-1-1 on the Akali. The emergency is there's a woman stabbing me repeatedly, and it's very unpleasant. As Decay sticking around on the side, looking towards Astley maybe, but Horhor's in his sight, but will go near-sighted with the Paranoia. Utility used, but the Nocturne is the first victim. Decay dancing forward once again. Jaeger trying to get in the mixer. So much damage comes on through. Clickers to go Golden Ravish the same, but takes this on the side. Sets up the ultimate. Won't be able to find it though as turns it back towards Astley as the damage will fly through. But Macko holding firm. They took down Akali. Requiem, what can it do? It can take down No one, actually, as two members go golden absolutely immediately. C-Boy mown through, has to go into stasis himself as Elite joint with the charge. Perfectly timed, perfectly executed. Rarish shooting forward, though. Takes down Sejuani. Can they do a little bit more? The minions will be cleared away. Schalke, Null, Fear with 3 members. Still trying to keep the pressure up. But Macko, staunch defense.
Yeah, they're regenerating a lot as well from this Ocean. So takes us back to full HP. They have a wave in the mid lane, but they don't look like they want to go towards it. They're trying to end this game. Warhol's up in 10 seconds. It's a bold call, but I like it.
They look for Rarish. Jaeger goes below half health. The damage comes through for him. He gets shielded up, but he's going to be so low. Ashley moving forward. Rarish might look for an execution with the rapid fire cannon, but can't find it this time around. Paranoia, baby, as he dives into the back line. Warhol trying to take down a member, but he just can't do it. Resurrects, though, as the rest of Macko. They dive on forward. They take down one. They take down a second, but he's going to get right back up. Will he be able to escape? Jaeger cut down double for Olaf.
Yeah, the decisions were there for Schalke. They either go towards the mid lane, pick up the second inhibitor, or they look for the end. It's the more volatile of the two choices, but they look for it and they get punished. Macko make the staunch defense, and now Decay. He's looking for another pick as we go into a replay. I'm sure he's fine, guys. Don't worry. As that Paranoia comes down and the Fear connects onto the Cogmore, and as soon as he's dead, there's no more damage threat return. It looks like in the picture-in-picture, by the way. Don't worry. Decay did not murder Raresh.
This time.
Be okay there. This time.
Let's see. Going forward as Decay has been enjoying some assassinations in this game, 10 to be precise. And one that he really didn't enjoy because he got an assist, and that doesn't seem reasonable to an Akali player. But 40 minutes on the clock.
Okay. I'm sorry to cut you off.
You go ahead, mate.
Takes it has an anatomist. Can we get a check-in on who that's on? My only assumption is it's on C-Boy, right? Like it's gotta be on Carthus. Oh no, that's is that Acidy actually?
Yeah, that is Acidy.
Oh,
and there's no other anathemas. Oh no, because he's got anathemas. But does it show?
Well, he just purchased it, right? So I guess maybe he's not actually bound it to anyone yet.
Yeah, because you have to see them on the map in order to actually bind someone, but it is pretty much global. Just checking in all the champions, seeing who's bound. We'll find. I'm sure we'll see in the next team fight, but that is really a sigh moment from a marksman player when you have to pick up the anathema's chains to prevent yourself getting one shot by Carthus, which is, you know,
I mean,
something that is
smart,
to be concerned about. Absolutely.
It's 30%. It's a 30% damage reduction. Now Acidy's going to face Chef.
He takes a lot of damage. The Ragnarok will be blown. Here comes the Requiem. How's it going to look? A decent amount of damage, but it's not doing nearly as much as it used to when compared to the health bars and defenses that have been built on the likes of Elite, Joint, and Jaeger. They need to be a little bit careful going through that choke as members of Macko hanging around in the mid lane. All 5 are here, but Acidy did go back in order to defend against Decay on the bot side. He's looking towards that inhibitor tower. Both teams now potentially looking for a collapse. Jaeger's only half health, so needs to be a little bit wary. Regenning from the Ocean Soul. C-Boy's being caught out, though. No ultimates, no stuns land onto him this time. As Jaeger chases forward, will be able to secure the kill onto the Carthus and grabs up his soul for himself. Unfortunately, no Requiem can be used, though.
That's huge. That's jungle pickup right at Elder. Now, Schalke, they can approach this as 5. What will Macko try to do? Because they are at a numbers disadvantage. They were being out-teamed for already. Posturing just says, I'm going to give this one up. Give up the Elder. They almost certainly give up the Baron. With both the Uber buffs available to the Schalke North side, you have to expect they will just close out off the back of having these 2 buffs.
That is the dream for Prime League fans. 43 minutes into game when you've got a Cogmore and an Akali. Feels pretty good, but for Macko, hey, I'm hold my hands up here. We were talking about this team maybe not having the champions, especially I was saying, look, some of these champions don't scale particularly well. Carthus, yes. Nocturne, less so. But they're still fighting. They're still taking fights reasonably even at times. But with the Elder Dragon picked up with the Baron in 10 seconds potentially being secured, I feel like their chances are slipping away.
Definitely are. And again, Elder, Baron, base already open on the top side. The inhibitor's respawning now, but it's open is enough. Just look to siege dive. They're the ones with that Sejuani ultimate. They've been happy to dive forward with Jaeger, with Decay. As long as Takeset and Lilip keep themselves safe, it's not really too big damage threat, to be honest with you. As now, with these 2 Uber buffs, they will move towards the mid lane. they'll look to try and close out this game. Macko, what do you have left in the tank?
Well, they're going to have another strong defense in the tank, otherwise this could well be it. Schalke moving forward, taking down that mid lane inhibitor tower, and the inhibitor likely to follow them. We'll just head up to the top side to do the exact same thing to that inhibitor. Requiem's going to be blown, and there's the paranoia as well. It looks like they want to pull the trigger and go. But they're fighting into Baron, they're fighting into Elder. Hor actually picks up the kill on the takes there. Lilith forced to back away. Schalke though, they've got Jaeger and Decay on the back. They've got assassins galore as Asadi survives, blown up by the Sejuani. Jaeger now looking to take down the Nocturne. Will be able to get one more Q. No, he won't, as Raresh drops him into Resurrection, but I don't think it matters particularly much as the Nexus lane bearer Elite Joint isn't interested in playing with his food. He's going to take them down. 45 minutes on the clock is what it took, but Schalke, no fear, grabbed their first win.
They do pick up their first win, and such an important win, right? Given the context of